Okay, so yesterday, before start to the session, I'll just summarize what we have discussed yesterday. Right, yesterday we tried to cover today you know, the front office, middle office, and back office stuff. But back office not in details, but somehow we touched to the point. Right, what are the roles and responsibilities of back office and all? But we discuss lots of things about the middle office and front office job, right? But from an interview point of view, so the middle office roles and responsibilities are important for us, and we should know what will be the roles and responsibilities there in the front office as well. So that is because uh, eventually we'll have to work togetherly, right? Whatever trade request will be there, or whatever securities will be traded in a front office, so that will have to ensure and take care of in the middle office as well as in a back office, and that applies to all the products, or even the mutual fund, maybe to the hedge fund, maybe to the private equity and all, right? So that won't be any change in the process. And today, like the corporate action is one of the important aspect of the hedge fund and even the accounting and NAV part. Without corporate action details, we cannot produce the accurate and reliable the net asset value of a product. That is what the corporate action is one of the key point. And most of the time that you can see the questions will be there on the corporate action part. Maybe the rules of a corporate action. What is the rules for a corporate action? And maybe sometime what is the difference between voluntary cash dividend and mandatory cash dividend. Sometime there would be questions on what is the difference between stock split and reverse stock split, right? Sometime there would be questions on the failing, how can you recognize the failed trades in the corporate action, or sometime there would be questions on the claim processing part. How can you process the claims for a corporate actions, or else how can you validate the claims, valid claims, right? Because all the terms are very important from an interview standpoint. And apart from that, the key information, I would say, key information means your ISIN, QSIP, key dates, even counterparty names, agent banks, then registrar, right? Then the custodians, right? That is also important. So, and even the prime brokers or brokers, blah blah things. So that is also important. So we'll try to cover as many as corporate action events, and we'll even try to cover the key information and key elements of a corporate action process, and then at the end we'll try to link that corporate action to the that hedge fund and mutual fund product, or else that we can first of all we'll say it investment pattern directly, and then we can jump on it how the hedge fund and the mutual fund investment pattern would be there. And so I'll share that report with first of all Park Square. Where is that? Mm, Park Square. P important, not P. Park Square. Shit. Mm, Batch number two. Where is Park Square Capital Private Equity Financial Market? P valuations, P shorts, LST, LMA. We can refer this information for a discussing purpose. Types of corporate action. Mm, 2 minute alternative investment circular. Shit. KPMG investment banking. The documents are like all the notes, equalization, H fund master figure, H fund, NAV, corp action was okay. Here is the report. Okay, so this is Pershing Square is one of the largest hedge fund in the world. Even you can search this information or browse this information on internet. You can go to their official website and check the information, and even you can check their that the investor relationship tab for more information if you want, right? So even this is the latest data that we have. I just wanted to show you their investment pattern, so you will have an idea how the hedge funds and uh, the other investing things works in the hedge fund. Okay, so this is a board members present. These are the board members. Okay, and even this is not important, but just like need to know this is okay. Discount to any investment portfolios on. Okay, so this information that you can see how the NAV has been performed throughout the journey of the Pershing Square Capital since 2018 to Jan 2020. See the performance of their NAV. Okay, so that is how they why the NAV is important, because after all this presentation is for investors, right? Even you can see like uh, maximum there would be only 499 investors in hedge fund in one hedge fund, right? Max to max. So that is what. So every quarter there will be add some new investors and there will be exit of again old investors from the particular fund. That is what the NAV is important. Corporate action initiated dividend. Repurchase data buyback program and okay. So this is again important, guys. See, suppose I'll put here example and then we'll try to understand to the hedge fund first, because most of the time this happen like we are working in a hedge fund industry, but we are not aware about the the establishment part, how the hedge fund house build or else I would say or incorporate, and what is the procedure for it, right? Suppose you're like master in managing the funds and even in investing, so you have decided to build your own uh, hedge fund house, right? Then what you can do, you can register your entity under the Alternative Investment Act, right? And this applies to even UK and US as well, because in every country they have their own regulations and directives. So as per that, so we'll have to register our entity in their country or in their geography, right? Suppose if you have registered your entity, maybe let's say the Parsing Square Capital Management Limited, right? See, in this case, you have just registered your entity, but you don't have, like capital to invest in that. But ultimately, so once you register yourself, so you will have to appoint your corporate broker as well. So for example, for Parsing Square, the corporate broker and advisor and maybe the buyback agent and the sponsor for listing agent is Jeffries International Limited. The same we will have to again appoint. You can appoint to BNY, you can appoint to JP, Goldman Sachs, right? Or who is working, or I would say the entity who is working as a corporate broker, so we'll have to choose that entity as a corporate broker. So which will help us to met our daily, the buying and selling requirement. That is what the corporate broker is important, because the broker, they carry even the trading information and all, and apart from that they even provide the trading platform as well, so on which we can place our trading request, maybe for a buy and maybe for a sell trade, maybe for other derivative contracts, maybe for a short sale, and maybe a number of things, right? So that is what the corporate broker is important. If you see any questions come across on this corporate broker part, so you should know that. And the other, the functions like advisor, this is also important. Even for advisory uh, purpose, you can appoint to someone else, right? that that like not necessary only the one, the broker can perform all the functions. That depends on that particular broking house. If they have this such a facility, then you can appoint to one broker, so this will help you to reduce your cost, right? Because you are giving that business to that corporate broker, like corporate broking, advisor, buyback, and other sponsor LS listing and all. So that is what even you can negotiate on the fees part as well. As simple as that, we are here to earn money, right? So that is what everyone will do, the negotiations, right? If you can sign more and more deals with the client, then definitely there will be opportunity to negotiate with the client. So that is what you can offer all the functions or maybe the deals to the corporate broker. Okay, so and the next is fund administrator. This is also important. We'll have to appoint to the fund administrator who can help us to manage the fund activities, maybe to release the fund, maybe to receive the fund to the respective account, right? Or maybe process the fund to XYZ entities or counterparties on behalf of that particular hedge fund or your hedge fund in that case, right? So here, like for a Parsing Square, they have appointed two administrator. One is Morgan Stanley Service Bermuda Limited and Ellipse Fund Management Limited, right? And we'll have to do the same. Another one is legal counsel. Why the legal counsel is important? Because as simple as that, we are dealing with the corporate houses, we are dealing with the even international investors. So you can see a number of regulations in place, right? For every country, there will be a separate treaty agreement. This is also important from an interview standpoint. Sometime because you guys are experienced ones, so definitely there would be a lots of questions on such a part as well. So what is the meaning of treaty? Even you can see such words in that corporate action as well. What is a treaty, or what is the importance of treaty and all, right? So treaty, it means it's a bilateral agreement between two countries that define the tax clause or tax rates, or maybe the tax sections and conditions and all, right? Where you can see the even everything, there would be like the predefined 50% tax, 20% tax, maybe 100% tax, or whatever it is, maybe exempt and all. It depends on the country's relations, right? So that is what we need. Legal counsel or attorney who can help us to resolve our all the legal issues, and who can help us to take the all the necessary permissions from a different countries and the governments and other local bodies and authorities. Because as a manager, you think, because uh, you are expert into the only the managing managing the fund or investing the fund, or maybe to do the valuations of a business and all, then how can you manage this legal function as well? That is what nobody want to waste their time in such activities. So they can offer this or outsource this activity, or even they can appoint someone who can provide end-to-end legal solutions to their business. And that is how even they have also appointed Herbert Smith Freehills as a legal counsel. The another one is auditing firm, right here. See this report. Where is that? Okay, see, this is the KPMG's report. Okay, financial statement. This is for a private equity. Even we have for hedge fund as well. But we'll give some glance on this, and this is also important. See, this is for a private equity limited partnership, and this KPMG provided this financial or reporting or maybe the auditing facility to their client. So that is how they will have to prepare the reporting in such a format, because you can see uh, at international level we have a UK gaps, we have a US gap, we have a IFRS, we have accounting standards, and even there you can see some difference between IFRS and accounting standards, right? So that is what we cannot deal with all the things. And uh, even this is the legal requirement, will have to appoint someone as auditor as well, so we who can provide end-to-end auditing facilities to our business. Even this audit is important from a legal perspective as well. This is the even the regulators requirement as well, so we'll have to provide this end-to-end information to the regulator, and that is how we can bring some transparency into a business. Otherwise we cannot maintain the rigor in the operation, as simple as that. If you don't have an auditor, then there is a possibility where you can divert that fund to your own businesses, right? And as simple as that, this is a client's money, so we cannot do that. And that is what I think the regulators play vital role in this entire fund accounting processes or fund businesses processes, because that is a client money. So even and even auditor will have a like they will have a access where they can take the even legal action on that particular fund as well. If you found any, the guilty, or if you found, if you process something miscellaneous transactions to the anonymous entity, so in that case also the regulator can, or the auditor can raise the concern or the cap against you, and then they can also report to the regulators as well. As we see, this is like suspicious transactions we can see between this and this entity, please take a look on it, or please see this, right? Because that is their job, and that is what will have to pay some fees to the auditor as well. Okay. Then registrar like Link Market Services. This is a famous registrar, and you're working with the income team, or maybe suppose if you're working with this dividend team and all, then definitely you would have heard this name, Link Market Services, or maybe the ClearPower, or maybe Euroclear, right? So they work as a registrar, right? So registrar, it means in the that registrar form, that you can see only the CA and the CFAs people, they can work with that, because ultimately they will have to work uh, and communicate with the all the stakeholders, right? And even this is mandatory to the fund houses as well as to the uh, corporate companies as well, to appoint the registrar. So registrar can communicate with all the stakeholders on the behalf of fund managers and on the behalf of the respective company as well. So that is what the registrar is also important, because if you have any demat accounts, then definitely you would have seen the mail from this Link Market Services for a different stocks. Once suppose if there is the annual general meeting announce, or maybe sometime if you see the dividend announce, or maybe sometime if you see any kind of normal meetings, or maybe corporate action happened on XYZ in stocks, definitely you see the mails from the this Link Market Services, because Link Market Services is one of the largest registrar in the world, not in India only. They have a, yes please. No. So for a transfer agency, you can see some different functions, and for a registrar, you can see some different functions. A registrar is something, uh, this is mandatory to appoint, like company secretary for every organization. So that is what they do. Like they appoint registrar where they can authenticate each and every communication. And even company also don't want to involve in such activities, so they directly appoint registrar, so they will take care of it everything. For example, capital reduction. For example, to do the valuations of a business. For example, if suppose company is looking for a any kind of the merger and acquisitions, right? So they can reach out to their registrar, because registrar, it means in that form that you can see the CAs and uh, the valuers people would be there, so who can actually do the valuations of a business and who can actually help to the company to resolve their business issues and all business issues in terms of like valuation, acquisition, merger, and any kinds of corporate action events. And the transfer agency is something that is a different part. Suppose we are they provide services to, suppose we are transferring any assets from one account to another. So in that case, the transfer agency will work or help to that, taking care of that transferring part. The same concept, we are like transport agent, right? So what they do, they help us to shift the goods from one location to another location. The same way here also, the transfer agency, they will have a functions to, like they help us to evaluate the business or the assets. Maybe assets, it could be like equity, bonds, and even other assets as well. They will help to even somehow calculate the value of that particular assets as well, and even they can help us to transfer that asset safely from one account to another account. Okay. This is also important, like the another one is prime brokers and custodians. Maybe you would have heard these names, like custodians. Here for that Pershing Square, they have appointed Goldman Sachs and UBS as a prime broker and custodians. Right? Why the custodians is important? We'll see that in upcoming sessions, because custodians is uh, quite significant in entire investment banking segment. And the another one is like the public relations. Public relation, it means you can appoint anyone who can take care of the external stakeholder relationships. So they can communicate it, they can even spread awareness about your funds and all, right? Yeah, and even if investors or maybe the new investors or maybe other customers, if they will have any concern, so they will reach out to the Camrico, and Camrico will that communicate with the Pershing Square Capital. Because as simple as that, as it, this investment managers, they cannot play all the roles, so they will have to focus on the investing parts only, and that is what they pay their full attention on, buying and selling the securities, and the rest functions can be taken care by only this the corporate broker, fund administrator, legal counsel, and many other players, right? So this was the structure about the hedge fund. It is about the returns, how they provide returns and all, as compared to other indices. This is not even important for us. This is like good to know. This is Pershing Square annual net returns. There has to compound annual growth. That's total cumulative net returns. Okay, so this is important. See their portfolio. Okay, so in the Pershing Square Capital, you can see these are the stocks, and even including bonds also they have for a few companies. Majorly, they have invested into this company: Chipotle, Mexican Grill, and then Hilton Worldwide, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Starbucks, Lowe's, Restaurant Brand, Automatic Data processing, Harvard, United Technologies, Agilent Technologies, Berkshire Hathaways, right? So these are the companies. You can see the percentage which is important, like 14.7%. The fund they have invested into this first company, Cheptol Mexican. 9% they have invested in Hilton. 7.2% they have invested in Fannie Mae, right? So ultimately they have invested their fund in equity majorly, and then they have invested in bonds as well, right? And apart from bonds, you can see other financial instrument as well, so that we have discussed in yesterday's session about like the loans, right? Structured finance products and all, right? So you can see the words like tranche and all. So that would be in like ABS and MBS part, asset mortgage backend securities, and uh, that yeah, asset backend securities and mortgage backend security part, or maybe in that structured finance product that you can see the word like tranche and all, right? So that is how. So the interest payment, interest expenses or interest payment, it means they have invested into bonds as well as they have invested into equity. So this structure in 2019, every portfolio company generated positive return on it. Pershing Square Holding, Pershing Square International, Pershing Square Limited Partnership. Pershing Square Limited Partnership. This is it. This entity is like the private. This is for a private equity. Okay, and this is for a hedge fund. Pershing Square Holding, which is for the hedge fund business, and the Pershing Square International, again this is for a, because every entity they will have to create their entity in the international market as well, or in, for example, if the fund is located from the Ireland, then they will have to create one entity in the India as well, or they will have to register by this name, right? And then only they will be able to access to this in India's market. Otherwise, they can't access to the India's market, right? This total asset under management and equity under management. Okay, so total asset it means including bonds and all and other financial instrument, and equity it means under equity it means, so this like 5,000 or $721. So this would be in crore. So that is under equity, or which is invested in equity, that you can call it. Right. Total core funds. This is not so important. Business and organization update. Okay, so read this. We believe our improved recent performance is a direct result of our renewed focus on our core investment strategy and organizational changes. So we implemented at a Pershing Square. Opportunistically redeployed capital into two new positions that are well aligned with our core investment principles. See, this is important because every quarter or maybe on a every year, maybe that you can call, so they will have to revise their investment. Revise in terms of they will have to invest in a new companies, and again they will have to exit from the another old company. So that is the investment strategy. Accordingly they will have to work on it, right? So see, this is the data. In 2019, Pershing Square established two new investment positions that reflect our core investment principles. One is Agilent and the second one is Berkshire Hathaway. And even they have exited positions from the Starbucks, ADP, United Technologies, and Platform Specialty. Right, so that is how they will have to manage their portfolio. This is important, right? And that is what even you have, because we have discussed about it, other entities which are involved in that business. So they help us to manage the end-to-end activities, right? And if we want proxy content. See, this is the structure that we can see in the hedge fund, right? The CEO and the portfolio manager would be at top, right? And that manager will lead to the investment team. So you can see this here, right? This side, executive assistant and administrative assistant. And apart from that, the other functions that you can see that under the president, like legal and compliance, investor relations, trading, right? Then finance, human resource, public relations, and technology. So this is how the structure has been developed. Again, that we should know because we are dealing with the hedge fund product or maybe the mutual fund product or private equity, so we should know the structure as well. So how the organization is created or maybe the developed, or how we can develop the architecture of that hedge fund house if you want. The other one is this is important. See this, because this is a chart of Agilent shares, okay, share, and even you can see the price as well, price performance from 9 for 29 to 4 2020. See this. So they have entered at this stage. Pershing Square announces investment in Agilent, right? The price was around $82 something, and so when they have exited the positions. So note that the performance of Resilient shares price is provided for illustrative purpose only, and it is not an indicator of future returns of the Pershing Square Fund. So average cost at investment as okay. Suppose if you are a retail investor, the way we use the same strategy for investing and all the same way they also use the same strategy, but the because their investment would be like in a crore or maybe in millions and trillions, our investment would be in like thousands. That is the difference. So they have entered into this Agilent share stock at this point, and even they have exited around here around 90 something, $90 something, right? So say this, the Agilent share including dividend increase, right? Even they have received dividend as well. Say this, the point is share price including dividends increased 12% from our average cost at inception to December 31st, 2019, and decreased 2% year to date in 2020. Okay, so that is how the hedge funds work. Their earnings and also blah blah. If you want this details that I can forward to you, okay, just I wanted to show you this, the hedge fund structure and all, because okay, that you can I think okay. And even for a mutual fund, I'll show you something. Or else hedge fund, if you get these details, I'll show you some live information if we get it. Trendliness. mm, Superstar investor subscribe. Institutional investor for us. Who are the foreign institutional investors? Eastbridge, Albula Investment Fund, Cresta, Abu Dhabi Investment, Nomura Singapore Limited, Goldman Sachs Limited. See, Goldman Sachs invested around 2000 crore, 2700 crore. Okay, and they have invested in almost 27 stocks. So we'll see that what are those. So that is how then we'll understand to the corporate action in details. Otherwise, if we are not aware about the investment patterns and all, then we won't be able to understand to the corporate action, maybe to that income processing part or dividend part and all. We should know each and everything with the fact and with the the strong information which is backed. See this, the fund name is Goldman Sachs India Limited's, right? And this is their portfolio. So you can see, so they have invested in Navin Florin, Root Mobile, and even you can see this the amount as well, holding amount along with the quantity held, right? This is the quantity around 70,000, right? Even you can see the quarter-wise reports as well. If you want to see, you can check in history as well if you want. Right, so they have invested around 170 crore in Root Mobile. Even you can check the quantity. Why the quantity is important? Because when you see the dividend has been announced, so we'll have to always multiply the dividend price with this quantity, right? And that is how you can see the dividend and income process is there. Suppose you're working with Goldman Sachs, then you can see such events as well. And fortunately, suppose you have been placed for this the Indian market, then you can see such names in their system. So we'll have to process the corporate actions for them because every quarter companies they will announce the dividend for their particular stock. Then we'll have to process that. That is what this even PNC and Infra, Balarampur Chini, Lakshmi Organic, Team Lead Services. Bharat Financial, Sonata Software, Zensa Technologies. There are a number of stocks, almost 27 stocks, right? And every quarter you can see the change in the number of stocks as well because some in any specific quarter you can see they will reduce quantity from the Nevin Fluorine and they will add the quantity into Root Mobile and all. So that is how your the yesterday's process like trade processing process work because when the managers they place a request for a buy or maybe for a sell then that the trade processing job come into picture, right? The details that will received from our corporate broker because we'll have an account with them. That broker will provide a terminal to us, trading terminal to us, where you can access all the information, trading information. Because as a processor, what is important for us? Stock name, then the holding quantity, price, trade date, settlement date, counterparty, right? Who is the buyer or seller that you can say that is important for us. So we can book that particular information in our internal accounting system. There are a number of applications, so you can book that into your system, and once you booked on a T+2, we'll have to settle that. And once you settled, so that is the first accounting entry that we do in our particular accounting book as a ledger. And as we know that once you create a ledger, then your accounting will start from that. So once you create a ledger or once you settle that particular quantity, it means actually you have received something in the form of like maybe equity, bonds, loans and all. So definitely we'll have to display that particular on a trading account or on a even profit and loss account and maybe on a balance sheet, maybe on an income statement, fund flow statement, and accordingly we'll have to uh, that provide all the accounting effects to that particular item. Even in a corporate action process as well, once we received dividend, then that receiving process would be the first accounting entry. Because see, suppose you have received dividend from a Nevin Florin company, then what you make the accounting entry? Debit what comes in, credit what goes out, but the dividend is the part of the income. Income, it means there is a rule. There are three rules of there are three, golden rules of the accounting: personal, real, and nominal. Personal says debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Then another, that the nominal says debit the income and debit the losses and expenses and losses, and credit the income and gains. And for a real, the debit what comes in, credit what goes out. But the dividend is income, then we'll have to put that, income as a credit and the issuer's account as a debit. So your accounting will start with the settlement process. Once you settle the account, then your accounting will start, and then you will only you can prepare the main ledger, sub ledger, trial balance, trading account, profit and loss account, and your the even final reporting if you want. Right? So that is what this entire information is very important, so we should know that each and every information. Okay, so far any question that you have, guys? Hello, Krishna, Kalyan. So, okay, are you getting me right? So whatever we are discussing here. Okay, okay. So, okay. So now we know that, right? So investment patterns and all of a hedge fund and even mutual fund and all, right? Right. So even if you want the information, you can go to this platform, right? So this platform, you can select any mutual fund and you can check it how they invest and all. Here that you can check it, that investment patterns and all, right? This is for your own good or knowledge, that I would say. So you can grab the knowledge from here, how they invest and all. See, so this is the fund name is the SBI Tax Advantage Fund. So it means this is a mutual fund, and so this is the stock details that you can see. Davis Lab, Muthoot Finance, this Raj Ratan Global Wire Limited, HDFC, yeah, and blah blah things. Right. Where the stock is come into picture, then they make sure that even corporate action come into picture. Where the bonds come into picture, then again the corporate action come into picture. Where the bonds, loans, and even thus the equity come into picture, then your the income processing come into picture. So all are the processes that comes under the hedge fund and mutual fund, right? And this is the NAV. Why the NAV is important? Most of the time you can they see these questions from the panel. Why the NAV is important? See, this is the NAV that the SBI is providing to the investors. Once the market close, then they will have to generate the report, or generate the report to check whether if there is any corporate action announced on this particular securities, or any dividend announced on this particular securities, or maybe any interest payment is due for XYZ security. So they will have to verify it, check it, and after that they will have to generate the NAV. It means they will have to calculate the NAV for this particular fund, right? And if this NAV is not correct, let's say there was one corporate action announced, let's say stock split was announced for this particular security, this the Raj Ratan Global Wire Limited, and you are the processor and you are producing the NAV for this particular fund, and accidentally you forgot to calculate this the corporate action events for a Raj Ratan, right? And you again generated or produce the NAV and display to the investor. And even there, you have seen that there was, a number of subscriptions or new investor entered into that particular investment. Say this dilemma, it would be very difficult to recorrect each and everything, because whatever price NAV need asset value that you have disclosed to the investor, that is incorrect. Because what is the formula for NAV? Total assets minus total liabilities divided by total number of outstanding shares or units that you can call. And if here we are talking about units or share, it means when the corporate action like the stock split announced, your number of shares will be changed. So it means your NAV also will be changed. It will be reduced by maybe 2 rupees, 3 rupees, or maybe $2, $3, $5, etc. Right? So that is how. So we'll have to ensure that whatever we are providing the information to our investor, that is 100% correct. And just because of that, we have a reconciliation team. Right? For every project, you can see the reconciliation team. That is their job to ensure that whatever we have processed for our clients, so that is correct and that is even as per the process or procedures which is provided by the regulators. So like NAV should be accurate. It should be means it should be. There is no excuse and there is no any kind of exceptions. So that is how even when I was talking to one of the guy who was actually processing or producing the NAV. So he was saying that if you see any kind of error, suppose you have processed the NAV with the incorrect details, it'd be difficult to recalculate each and everything. So it will take like double the time to identify where we have missed. So that is what we follow the checklist. Checklist it means every check that we check it, action it, and then we take to that particular check. For example, corporate action. Yes, we have checked it. There was no corporate action announced, and that is how we check to that particular check. Then second, suppose income processing. So we'll have to check it for all the stocks, whether if there is any dividend announced or interest payment due or announced and all. And if no, if yes, then there will be a different process. So else you can even like you guys are processing. It means once you process the income, there the NAV team will pull that report for a XYZ funds and they will refer that the income or maybe dividend or interest payment, and accordingly they can add that income into their particular fund and they can publish it. And suppose any trade buy and sell trades, they will check it in their particular checklist. So how much new trades has been processed for this particular fund or under that particular fund, maybe 10, 20, 100, and then what is the instrument. Maybe it is equity, bonds, loans, ABS, MBS, maybe derivatives contracts and all, right? So we'll have to ensure that as well. And then you can tick to it. And after all, once you calculate this NAV, then there is a process like we'll have to reach out to the respective teams, maybe like income team that you guys are working, maybe the trade settlement team, maybe fees team, tax team, corporate action team, because we need approval from all the teams. Suppose organization, the structure or the organization is too small, and if they're only the looking for like mutual fund and so on, then in this case, so you can take care of each and everything. Like you can work on a corporate action independently, you can work on uh, trade processing, you can work on the income part, tax part, everything that you can take care, and at the end even you can produce the NEV and report it to the auditors. Right, but like the companies like the JP, Goldman Sachs, NT and all, so they're like their volume of or the size of the funds would be very high, so that is what it's be difficult to manage each and every activity on time or due diligently. That is what they have divided each and every process into a small process. Like in a corporate action also you can see the number of processes. Under the income processing also you can see the separate process for the dividend, and even you can say separate process for the interest payment, or maybe other like the trade settlement. For equity there would be a different team, for other products there would be a different team, for a back office work there would be a different team, and for a mid office work there would be a different team. Maybe for a reporting there would be a different team, and other that uh, what I would say, the NAV calculation, there would be a different team. Most of the people they have a questions in the mind about the accounting. So where can we see the accounting? When we settled a trade in our uh, system, then so that is the first stage of accounting where actually we are creating the journal entries into our system. So once we add the income, or once we add the quantity or the amount in our system, that the accounting application will help us to convert that entry into that main ledger and sub ledger. And once we see the main ledger and sub ledger, then definitely you can see the other effects as well, like the trial balance, trading account, profit and loss account, balance it and all, right? Okay. So okay, any idea, guys, what is corporate action? Any any opinion on this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apart from mandatory and voluntary, there would be like mandatory with choice as well. That the dividend processing part that comes under the mandatory with choice. Suppose if company is offering the currency option to the investors, the default currency or the dividend announcement default currency, suppose INR, and company decided to process that payment in USD as well, because there are investors from the US or other the the United Nations countries, and they want the benefit in their own currency. Then if suppose company also, yes, they agreed like, yeah, we can process that payment in your currency as well. So it means that the event would be like the mandatory with choice. The company given choice to their investors to choose a currency. So in that currency we can process the benefit to you. Okay, so mandatory with uh, choice also type would be there. So we'll see. So by the definition of a corporate action, and you guys are aware about it by the definition, but we'll again reiterate it because we are here to discuss some practical fact of a process. So any event initiated by a corporate action that impacts its shareholders and creditors. Creditor, it means the bond holders, okay, and maybe the loan providers, and shareholder, it means your the equity or common stockholders, or maybe preference and even common stock. Some corporate actions may affect only one security issued by the issuer, and other may affect many or all the securities issued. The corporate actions can pertain to either equity or debt securities, although there are some difference in the action types that apply to each other. Some corporate actions are mandatory and other are voluntary. A mandatory action is one in which the holder of the security has no choice regarding the change in the status of his or her shares. The most mandatory actions happen automatically with no action required on the part of the holder. A stock split is an example of a mandatory action. A voluntary action is one in which the holder has a choice to make about how the action will affect the status of his or her shares. Usually, there is some action required on the part of the holder in order to participate in the action. Right. Okay. So, what is the meaning of it? So, long story short, there are three types of a corporate action, or majorly that you can see two, mandatory and voluntary. But yes, under mandatory, there will be another subpart that you can see mandatory with choice. So under the mandatory with choice, first of all, we'll see the types. Corporate actions, main points that are voluntary. Corporate action and then mandatory. Under mandatory, that you can see the one more subtype, which is mandatory with choice. So what are the types that comes under the mandatory with choice? Cash dividend, DREAP, DREAP reinvestment plan, then cash and stock option, under mandatory, the core mandatory options will be or events will be, sorry, stock split, reverse stock split, your bonus issues, return of capital, redemption, bank bankruptcy, that you can call it, warrant redemption, coupon distribution, bonus, stock dividend. Right, so these are the major corporate actions that you can see under the mandatory. There are many others as well, but we'll cover this because this is important from an interview point of view. Because most of the time, the interviewer expect more clarification on like stock split, reverse split, or difference between bonus issues and right issues, or maybe the difference between the cash dividend and cash and stock option, and also that is what voluntary corporate actions, voluntary tender offer, buyback, or even this buyback and tender offer that you can call open offer, right distribution. Instead, right distribution. This would be voluntary. Another one is subscription offer. Okay. Okay. So another important thing is let's say you have your own hedge fund, ABC investment holding, right? So you have invested your fund into three asset class. One is equity, another one through the debt obligations. Okay, so debt obligations. Under that, so you can see the other sub classifications like ABS, asset backend securities, MBS, mortgage backend securities, then the bonds, maybe debentures, other what would be others, loan obligations, structured finance or loan obligations that you can call structured finance. Or else instead equity I would mention here like stocks. So here two categories that you can see, one is equity and no, so equity would be the common name again. So here that you can see equity, but the names on the system itself that you can see maybe internal or maybe another external platform, common stock, and another one is preference equity. Right. So debt obligations, and another one is like the derivative contracts or obligations. And the another would be like the cash balance. Because cash in hand or cash at bank or cash balance, this is also important. So at the end, if you don't have a cash, your account is dry, then you cannot put a request for buy and sell. So cash balance and availability, that is also important. ABC investment holding. So derivative, under derivative, so investment patterns would be you can invest in indices, so or else index, or else even you can invest in stocks as well. You can buy like put call, maybe future forward, right? So there are different types of contracts, or maybe even you can sign the CDS or maybe TRS, right? Total revenue swaps or credit default swaps, right? Or other the swaps agreement, right? Maybe put call, that you can sign under the derivatives. This is very important, guys, because as simple as that, there would be questions on this particular topics. So what is indices? What is that the CDS, TRS, swaps, put, call, maybe difference between common stock and preference equity, ABS, MBS, bonds, debentures, and all. Right. Interview is just like it's an art, so we should know each and everything. And even I am not carrying any book with me, or I don't have any books, right? Because this is that everything that I have stored in my mind. And even I even didn't mug up all the, right? I didn't rant any concept and all. I always try to concept in a very practical way, so which can help me to keep that in my mind for a long, right? And even I'm writing each and everything in a very systematic way. When you can see this, this is very important. Okay, so this is like cash at a bank, right? And all okay. So even if you want the information here that you can link whatever we have discussed about it. The stock equity part, so you need a broker and account with broker. So you don't have this account, then you won't be able to place the request. Debt obligation, you need some agent bank who can help you to find to the counterparty who is willing to sign the agreement with you, or maybe who is ready to or willing to that sell that particular obligations, or maybe MBS or securities or ABS securities or debentures or maybe other structured finance product to us. That is what we need to have an agent bank as well. Another one is derivative obligations. Even we need a broker account in this case also, right? And here the trustee, maybe that you can call bank, and the fund administrator, fund admin. The name itself, that you can see the difference. Right. We should have an account with all these entities. If you don't have an account with this, then you cannot do anything. You cannot make a trades. You cannot buy anything. You cannot sell anything. Even you cannot transfer that fund to the XYZ account. Right. So that is what you need to have an account with the fund administrator or bank, so we can provide this funding facility to the respective counterparty on behalf of you. Right. Okay. So you're getting me right, guys? Are you with me or so gay? Okay. Okay. So we'll take again. Okay. So we'll close this session around 11:30. So I don't want to burden you all the things in one session. Okay. And rest part we can cover in next session, because this is I don't want to provide any short information to you, because even we have committed like we'll go through with the interview part, but this is also important. You should know each and everything about the particular product, because under hedge fund or maybe accounting and all, so there is no such a process. So where like you can see, yeah, this is accounting. So entire things combinedly called as fund accounting. Okay, most of the time if you have any question in mind, so where is the accounting and all? So accounting is nothing but it like accounting, it means recording. You can record corporate action, trade processing, trade settlement, trades, incomes and all. So that is how the, once you combine to each process, then your accounting will be complete. So that is what even you can under hedge fund you can see the opportunities for corporate action, trade processing, income processing, and blah blah things record, right? So okay, book equity. Okay, so while processing a corporate action, what is important? So now so we have covered, the types. Then we'll see the little bit about the processing perspective as a processor. So what we'll do with the corporate actions, right? Okay. So what is the rule of a corporate actions? Anyone has any idea about it? Yeah, your voice is not audible. Yeah, now it is audible. Yeah, correct. The dates, right? Without dates, you cannot take the benefit of a corporate action. So dates that anyone there is a the rule that is any trade that should place before the ex date and should settle on or before record date. So I'll repeat it again. Any trade it should traded before the ex date and it should settled on or before the record date. Okay. And so what about X date? X date it means it could be any date, but there is again the rule which is record date minus 2 would be the X date and X date minus 1 would be the entitlement date. In short, this rule is very important means very important. Lots of time there would be an argument on this. If we place the trade on a X date, so would we get a benefit of a corporate action? No, because trade should place X date. Before the X date means it could be X date minus 1. X date minus 1 and X date minus 1 would be your entitlement date. Entitlement means it's ownership, right? Okay, so one point that I just uh, clicked in my mind, which is about the settlement. So if someone asks about what is settlement, so strongly mention that settlement it means to actually transfer the ownership of a security from one counterparty to another that you can mention, because settlement it means we are actually transferring that quantity or maybe the security to someone. So along with the particular uh, that product, I would say we are even that transferring the ownership rights from a one owner to another, because after settlement that owner can do anything with that particular security, right? So that is how you can mention that. Exit minus 1 would be entitlement. So if we want the benefit of a corporate action, so trade should place here, right? So you can buy the quantity here 100, whatever would be the price, and it should be settled on a record date. So here like on or before record date. On or before it means it could be trade date plus 1 or maybe trade date plus 2. So before trade date plus 2 trade should settled, as simple as that. And why this is important, because we have seen that your most of the holding will be invested in equity segment, so it means we'll have a lots of corporate action events for a processing. right? Okay, so on or before, on or before corporate action. Okay, deeds are important. So we'll finish this rule and we'll stop. So I'll write it down now. So we'll just for a understanding purpose, x date minus 1, x date, then 1 2, let's say assume it x plus 2 the record date, rd plus 2 1, or okay. So most of the time there will be, argument between you and interviewer. So that is what, don't forget this. And even I'll provide you the input on this exception as well, right? There is an exception. Even still, if you have placed the trade on X date also, and even if that is not been settled on that record date, or instead record date, it has been settled on recorded plus one, in that case also you will be entitled to receive the benefit. But there is a procedure. Procedure, it means that procedure we can call exception or treaty agreement between two counterparts, how they have agreed before placing the trades. Okay. Suppose you have a buy the quantity of one, okay, of, let's say, Facebook company, right? The quantity is around 1000, price is 1, so QTY price and amount. Even currency is also important. Yeah. Hmm. No, it will not receive. See, there are two types of markets. Okay, one is recorded driven market. This insightful information that nobody can provide to you. Okay, so recorded driven market, and another one is the XD driven market. Okay, okay, so apart from this rule, so market works on these two rules: recorded driven market and XD driven market. If the market is recorded driven, whether you have placed the trades on X date or X minus 1, that doesn't matter. So the benefits will be calculated on a recorded basis. If you have a positions available on the record date of a company, right? Even this recorded call as book closing date as well, right? Book closing date. It means you are entitled to receive the corporate action benefit, as simple as that. And if the market is the X date driven market, X date driven, it means suppose you have a positions on a X date, so it means you are entitled to receive the benefit of that particular corporate action. But apart from this rule, if the market is suppose not a recorded driven, and if it is not a X date driven, if it is like, let's say we're talking about India, right? Or there are a number of countries as well, because there are only limited markets at the moment. I'm not able to recall the list of that particular countries which are comes under the recorded and which are comes under the X date driven. But apart from that, this rules applies to the rest of the world. Okay. Suppose you have placed the request on X date and the trade, the particular trade uh, that not been settled on this the recorded, instead recorded, it has been settled on recorded plus 1. So let's say here the price and the company that. So in that case, you are not eligible for a corporate action benefit, because as simple as that, I have already mentioned that if the market is not the recorded driven and nor the exit driven, then in that case you won't be eligible for this corporate action benefit, because the as per the rule, trade should be settled on or before the record date, right? Then in that case you are eligible to get a benefit of a corporate action, right? Instead, record date plus one, suppose your trade has settled on this the record date, then you are eligible. Okay, so this is the one rule. And even in this case, suppose your trade gets settled on the record date plus one, so in the corporate action language itself, that you can call like ineligible trade fails. Okay, because this trade will be failed for a corporate action benefit. So you cannot, suppose your processor there and you are working on this particular corporate action, and you have suppose reconciled positions that is that not been settled on a record date which was given or announced by the agent or maybe registrar. So in that case, you cannot process that particular corporate action. So you will have two options in front of you. One, you can make that position zero, just reverse it, make it zero, or else you can dis that there would be in the even there would be options in that particular system that you can disable that particular positions, right? So while processing the corporate action, your the payment will not be that posted on this particular accounts, because as simple as that, those are not eligible for a corporate action benefit. Okay, and suppose sometime what happened, like you have placed the trades on a X date, and again that's been settled on a record date, vice versa. In that case also, those the trades will be failed, right? So that you cannot count for a processing of a corporate action benefit. But sometime, suppose you are the buyer and I'm the seller, so I have sell something and you have buy something, but actually before the buying that particular positions, actually when you are looking for a dividend also, like, okay, so you want that dividend, and that is what you have decided to enter in that particular agreement or that the trades. So here you can sign with me, right? You can sign with me stating that, hey, suppose if you sell the quantity today and if you receive this particular dividend, then you will have to process the dividend to us, because as per the system or as per the application, we cannot add any the third persons in our particular system, because our system will work on the basis of X date and on the basis of record date. Suppose on the record date, if that entity's name is not there in our system, so we cannot process the benefit to that particular person. And suppose on record date, still system is showing my name, right? Then you don't have any options. We will have to process that benefit to that particular person or Shivraj or to me, right? And as we know that, so I have signed the agreement with my client, as suppose still if you guys process the dividend to me, then I'll process the dividend to the buyer who have buy the security on a X date, right? That was the agreement. So in that case, you can suppose you have an agreement, so you can call them like valid fails. As per the system, your trades will be failed, but you can reinitiate the payment process, dividend payment process to them or the traders, or maybe prime brokers, or maybe hedge fund or mutual fund houses, right? As per the agreement. So that process called like claim process. So we are actually reversing or processing the payment to that particular or the real owner, who is the real owner of that particular security. right? So here, like, it's not a easy to do process, guys. It's be difficult and tough to process because there would be a thousands of account in that particular event, so it's required lots of investigation, right? Because to identify invalid trades, even, which is not easy. It's bit difficult and tricky to identify the valid trades. Actually, you will have to investigate a lot. You will have to reach out to the agent bank and registrar, and you will have to confirm that the positions and even custodians, because custodian will have a accurate information about the product, who is holding this particular security on this particular date, and that is what the dates are really important in a corporate action process. And if you see any questions on this, the date point of view, so you should know what is record date, what is X date, what is the X date minus one. X date minus one we call like entitlement or ownership date. And once suppose let's assume it, if you have everything in place, so you can process the event on a payment date. Payment date. So again, payment date is also important, and apart from payment date, one more concept that you can see, value date. So value date, it means, so which is the actual payment date. Actual means which is announced by the agent or custodians or maybe the issuer and all. And the payment date, it means that you can see system processing date. Because sometimes you can see the delay in the payment process as well. Suppose the issuer issued the check, or agent bank issued the check payment to the respective counterpart or maybe to the custodian. So in that case, payment will be delayed. So it will not be received on a predefined payment date. So that is what. So there would be a two dates that you can see in your system. One is payment date and second is system process date, and another one is value date. Value date would be the real date, so which is, or the date which has been announced by the company, right? And again, we'll have to calculate the accruals or maybe the other benefits from the value date only. So value date, it means actually here also again we are settling the benefit in the respective counterparty's account, because to process something, it means that is a settlement. It's a part of settlement. We are settling the two accounts, right? So these are the key information, key dates, okay, right? And this is important from a corporate action perspective, right? So in the next session, we'll see the key information, and as well as we'll discuss about the events as well. Like, so in the stock split, what we, how we gonna be process stock split, how we gonna be process cash dividend, bonus issues, and even the difference between bonus issues and right distributions, coupons, and even right distributions, right? And the other events, because these events are important. So we'll have to discuss that, and we require full, you know, 1.5 hours of sessions on it. So we cannot cover this in one session. Okay, guys, are you with me? Okay, so far any questions? So you can unmute yourself and you can raise your doubts, questions, right? Don't afraid you, because you know each other, so you can ask any doubts that you have. Hmm. Hmm. Recorded driven market and exit driven market that you can see on the treaty or agreement, that is for a benefit processing purpose. Mhm. See, many times the people who are working with a claim processing team, okay, claim, it means nothing but it's just like to say that, yeah, I'm the owner of this particular benefit. Okay, so that process called like the claim process, or maybe the claim task. So in that process that you can see such agreements and all, right? Because on a mail itself the counterparty will mention that, hey guys, so this is the agreement between this and this. So actually, as per this agreement, so this was the terms and condition was defined, and now this particular entity or person is entitled to receive the benefit. But in the system itself, will have to process the benefit as per the ex date and this record date. Right? There won't be any change because system like uh, in the lots of this restrictions are there in terms of processing, right? So we cannot process as per this recorded ex date and all. But yeah, even for the accounting purpose and all, so in the system itself also you can see the record date driven or maybe ex date driven as well, because where I was working there was that particular function. So we used to check that if it is a recorded driven or if it is a recorded driven, and on the basis of that we used to perform the reconciliation task as well to ensure that the data which we are going to process and the data or the positions which is are there in the system, it should be matched. There should be synergies between the two system and the positions from a custodian side. Okay. Okay, guys. Then if you don't have any questions, then we can stop here for today. Okay, and it's like 11:30, so anyone, it will overburden for all of you if you are not aware about this particular process and product, or maybe this chapter. So I have recorded this. I'll share you the recording to you in the morning, so you can again go through this and check it if you have any doubts, and you can again, even if you don't want to discuss here, so you can write it on my email, or else even you can text me on WhatsApp as well, that is also fine. All right. Okay, so before end of the session, okay, so where can you check the details like corporate action details and all? So there are a number of platforms and depends on that particular organization, but the most popular platform is the router and the Bloomberg, the both, and even there is a Swift as well, Swift and Euroclear. So they provide this communication to us, corporate action communication to us. So these are the snips. This is for a IBM company, cash dividend and all. These are the events that you can see. All the history of a corporate action that you can see on a Bloomberg as well. So, all right, how it looks like. Company name, security type, common stock, country of issue, domicile, US, UK, depends on the company where is listed from. The distribution type, regular cash, it means this is a DREEP. And even in a DREEP that you can see sometime two payout options, stock and cash, but in this case it is a regular cash they are mentioning. An announcement date, which is also important, ex date, record date. So here also see the record date minus 2 would be the ex date, see the formula, right? But this is like in a generic way, okay. Sometime there would be like ex date would be even ex date would be equal to record date, even you can see that depends on the counterparty and its requirement. Okay, and that is what the exceptions part come into picture. And paid it, so after the recorded there would be a paid it. The frequency of a dividend quarterly, the currency amount, it means your rate, right? So you can multiply with your rate. IGN and SID, so with the help of that you can find this information in Bloomberg, right? So we'll see that in the next session also. Just wanted to link to this, so even you can also link your knowledge to this particular corporate action types. So meanwhile, I'll forward you this, okay? So you can go through this particular note and read it. If you find any difficulty into it, you can bring that into the discussion so we can discuss on that particular points as well. But yes, in the next session, we'll cover the key information. Along with that, we'll cover the trade types. Sorry, the corporate action types. My mistake. Okay. Okay. So once the done with this corporate action, we'll cover the uh, cap stock activity part. Cap stock, which is again very important. Cap stock, it means like redemption, withdrawal. Okay. And then finally the fees calculation and then NAV calculation. So once we're done with all, then we'll see the accounting and reporting part. So once we're done with the reporting, we'll link to it, right? So your entire work with the reporting, because on report itself, that then you will see the dividend, holding details, interest payment details, and all. Then you can link to your accounting knowledge to what we have discussed in the training sessions. Okay. Okay, guys. So we'll stay here for today. Where is that tower? Hmm. Okay, so any feedback that you want to share with me about the sessions? Any like you are not able to understand, or we are like this, that you guys are already aware about it and also we shouldn't be discuss about it, so we should target to other things. So you can provide that, okay? So we can also then we can plan it accordingly, because this is for you, not for me. So you can suggest me, so as per that we can work on it. If you don't want in this deep way, then we can just read the definitions and types and then we can cover it, and then we can schedule a mock interviews and we can focus on a CVs and all. That's it. Any any feedback? Okay. Kalyan, what about you, Shumbabu? Mm-hmm. Please. So, because I'm not able to hear you, are we good with this, or do we need to change? We are good, right? Okay. What about Shumbabu? Are you getting everything or what it is? Yeah, so that is okay. Okay. Even you can, share your feedback. That is important. Okay. So you don't need to bother about it. So if I raise this, so what he will feel and all. We are not there because we have a common objective, that is you should learn from this. And even I have my own, like whatever I'm investing my time on you guys, so you should also, benefited from it. This is for your own benefit. So we can accordingly plan it. That is fine. Okay, guys. So then, yeah, I would say then have a good day or good night, whatever it is. You are in a US shift, then good day. If it is not a good night, rest time you can enjoy it. And I'll forward you the notes as well. Okay, shalom. Yep. Bye, guys.